more interesting in my background. I got a plant.
Do you have a plant? Oh yeah, like a hanging plant would be nice. Like that's the one I have here.
I don't have a hanging plant, but I just have a regular plant. It's
It
little,
that pot looks way too big for the plant though.
yeah, it's a little succulent. It doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Something like I might need to like move my books over. Have you ever seen this book?
The book for to rebuilding civilization. No.
Yep.
So is like the concept that if you had that and you were teleported back like 600 years or 1,000 years, you could just do all the big scientific discoveries.
Basically, yeah. So like here is an explanation of generators.
Ooh, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and how they work.
Neat.
Yeah, my
So you could have you
brother-in-law
built a
gave it to me.
generator?
I have not, no. But
Hmm.
you've also got like chainmail.
Just in case you need that.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if you've got to rebuild everything from scratch, chainmail is important.
I guess. I mean, it's still made and used in some applications. I think
I
it's like
suppose
a
so.
it can be it's like sometimes used in factories for like conveyor belts or something like that or whatever.
Hmm.
There's definitely I think there's definitely uses, but it's not like a chainmail chest plate or whatever. Like you're not
No.
protecting yourself from attacking enemies.
Well, I'm thinking about saw a YouTube video a little while ago of this guy that was trying to create a grill scrubber entirely in
Oh
the
yeah.
United States.
Yeah,
You see this?
that's the smarter everyday video. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And he was like really the biggest issue for them was trying to find chainmail that was made in the United States. Um,
Don't do
like
any
like
local chainmail anymore.
yeah. And they had to get like they were trying to build like a specific hexagonal chainmail for that would go over the brush, and they like could not find a way to make it in the United States.
And was that the
So
thing that they ordered and they asked their people, "Is like this is made in the U.S., right?" They go, yes, it is," and it comes and it's got like Chinese writing all over it.
so a little bit different. They
Okay.
couldn't find anybody in the US to produce it, so they found a producer in India. And then when they ordered it and it got delivered, it was actually from China and just piped
Ah,
through India.
classic.
Yeah,
Happens to us all.
bait and switch.
Hmm.
So I think they're still trying to solve that issue, like a year and a half later.
Yeah, I mean, uh, who makes like who would have like come up in that time to build chainmail? Maybe for them if I like, saw the video, but
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, I don't know. Well, anyways, how are you? How's your language learning?
Language learning's good. I've been very happily surprised by the quality of the FR1K. Um, like, I, like obviously, I know that our products are high quality. Like, we get a lot of good feedback on them. This is my first time actually using one of them, and my retention rate on it, and maybe SRS has like a little bit to do with that, but like I remember studying Spanish with like really boring text cards with like no audio and no picture
Hmm.
and like limited definitions, and my retention rate was garbage. It would take me so long, and I would have to like sit and think through the words and like try and like make mental associations with them, and I just like could not retain them. And this has just
Ouch.
been super easy. Like, um, I'm now doing 15 cards a day, and it's only taking me 15 minutes, 15
That's
new
great.
cards a day. Yeah. Um, like the maximum time I've spent so far is like 20 minutes, and that was 'cause I was distracted. Um, so it's been a very pleasant experience. I was honestly expecting to hate it a little bit more.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love people not hating Anki. I'm a big Anki fan, so it's not really
And
been hard, but
yeah,
I do understand sometimes the slog when it's like it's not sticking, it is hard, and
yeah,
yeah, when you
yeah.
find good
It
cards, it's so
sounds
much more fun.
exactly. It's not that like flashcards themselves suck. It's that like the process of memorizing kind of is a painful process, but we can make it easier through nice colors and lots of information.
Audio, not
Um,
too much information though. I also don't like that when the card is so full of information that it's just
yes.
too much.
Yeah, I think the what I'm finding is like the reason my memory is better is because I can associate it to so many different things.
Hmm.
So like sometimes it naturally associates to an English word, or naturally associates to a Spanish word, or naturally associates to the picture, and I can just like remember the picture and like there's a direct connection. Or if like none of those stick, I can like usually remember part of the example sentence, like two words, like a little sentence fragment. Um, and they're all like these are all like random mnemonic devices that
Hmm.
eventually go away. But yeah, there's like it's not that the information on it is um, unnecessary. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of clues that you can use, and like whatever your brain latches onto is the one that you should use for memory.
Yep.
Um, so this is all like obvious to people who have done this, and I have obviously already thought about this, but there was like, I haven't worked on these decks for like 3 years. So
Doing it is more helpful
yeah.
to like really understand. So
Yeah.
I'm getting comments that I am very quiet,
Oh,
which is a
okay.
classic issue for me.
Sound
Let me
fine to
just
me.
double check things. I tried turning you down a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's probably in comparison with us both. Let me try doing the thing where I adjust my gain on my microphone down and then back up again because it's all the way up that it can go. Hopefully that's better. Maybe we'll see in 15 seconds as the stream rolls through. So hopefully that's better. Um,
I'll keep
good.
talking
So
though.
you
'Cause the other thing that I did this week was I actually started immersion. So like the past month, I've just been like, I want to rebuild my Anki habit because I haven't had one for a long time. And I jumped into a comprehensible French video and was pleasantly surprised that I could pretty much understand everything that he was saying.
that's
Um,
great.
yeah, I think the area that I do need practice on is it appears, and I have not done any reading on French grammar, but just from exposure, it appears that like the pronoun gets merged with the verb. Um, and then there's also like all of the irregular verbs that are the most common ones. And I don't know what each of them means. Like some of them are obvious because they're very similar to Spanish, but then other ones I'm like, it's actually the exact opposite.
Hmm.
So, um,
From what I've heard about the pronoun thing, you're right. They do fuse, but like in written French and formal French, they still sort of refuse to admit that because it's not how it used to be. But in spoken French, it absolutely is. And if you reanalyzed French, it would be like a different, like it would call it a different thing in how the how languages work, like linguistically, because
hmm,
it is quite different than sort of the more traditional French and how you might almost expect it to be or how it's written. Because yeah, it is just like smushed together.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, in the subtitles, they do merge it with an apostrophe. So,
okay,
yeah,
yeah, I don't actually know. I don't know French, but
yeah.
um, good that you are starting to do some immersion and enjoying it. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Um,
And then the other cool thing that we've been talking about is we've been like laying out what the process will be for my French immersion. And I was pleasantly surprised to realize that Jules Verne is French because I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when I was in fifth grade and would love to reread that again in French.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
made
also,
that comment as we were chatting. You're like, "Who's French?" I go, "I'm pretty sure." And then we looked it up, and it's like, "Oh yeah, total French person."
yep.
But a lot of the books do take place in other countries,
Mhm.
and so because of that conversation, I started reading "Journey to the Center of the Earth." That's a one to read for a while because the one I grew up reading was "Around the World in 80 Days." "Journey to the Center of the Earth" is like takes place in Germany.
Mm.
So, French author, but wrote his stories in different places,
Okay.
which is part of the confusion. Sir, I'm doing something. Please be quiet. If you can hear cat, he's
But the cool
fine.
thing was we started to because we have it's a public domain book and the audiobook is also easily accessible. It's like super easy to combine that into like a useful thing. So now we're trying to figure out like the best way to use it. And Ben was kind enough to like run a whole bunch of analysis on it regarding if you assume knowledge of the FR1K and like cognates, like what your word coverage and sentence coverage is. Um,
Yeah, because our hypothesis here is that you don't really want to sentence mine because that is putting a band-aid on our problem. Like you find a word that you don't know and you learn it. Where like potentially, ideally, you like would know what you're going to mine beforehand and you study it so that when you immerse in that piece of media, you come across it and you get that exposure and you understand it and it makes sense. And so the sort of pre-study approach would be great, but it's really hard to analyze a piece of content or media, know what words you actually know, which ones you should know, because if it just guesses, it's probably going to be wrong most of the time. Um, but if we have a way to figure out somebody's words that they know more or less through Anki, through uh, cognates, or whatever else you want to count, you can potentially figure out what words they should study, and then like per what I've been calling them a chunk because I've been working through these books. Um, but I also don't want to say like only 10 words per chapter because what if the chapter is really long or really, really short or something like that? So trying to find around a day's worth of Anki per around 20 minutes of reading, which seems like a good thing that everybody could do. That's where I've been starting it from.
yeah.
And
I
so
think there's
I'll just,
also the question of like what is somebody's reading speed, and like the reading speed at the beginning of the book is going to be slower than the one at the end of the book. So like there's like cool optimizations you can do with that.
yeah, I also went pretty generous and just did
Yeah.
like 20 minutes at like 150 words a minute,
Yeah.
basically. And so I sort of ended up with this visualizer and stuff that I've been going through. And so this just has some basic analysis of this. This is around the world in 80 days, since it is the easiest of the three books that we downloaded from Jules Verne. And then there's like an analysis of the chapters. This is also just to make sure that the processing is working correctly. Um, and then I also split it into chunks. In the case of these books, the chunks are just a single chapter because they're pretty short. Um, and then I also have, this is where the processing comes in to show like the different words. I have all of the actual words and lemmas pulled out, as well as like these little graphs for coverage. So Around the World in 80 Days uses less than 6,000 unique words, unique lemmas. And there's about 4,400 sentences, a total of 71,000 words, more or less. So it's a short novel. Um, these are not necessarily like if you know 5,845 words, it's probably not these specific 5,845 words. So the estimate against like a general French vocab or like a frequency list is like if you know around these numbers, this is sort of where you start to hit percentage of word coverage. So like the number that is often talked about in SLA is 98% word coverage, because that's where you can easily read something and understand it without really having to look anything up. But I think it's more important the sentence coverage. So sentences that either have 0 new words or 1 new word, because that makes it a lot easier to guess what it means or to look up a single word which is fast and get through it. And so if 90 or 95% of sentences have that, you can actually still read something even if you don't know all the words, because a lot of those extra words aren't as important. And so I'm trying
I
to do
don't really
analysis here.
understand, but it's saying like you need 8.2 thousand lemmos to get 98% of sentences, but you said there's only 5,800
I think
unique.
there's something going on here. This is like if you know from like in order of frequency.
Oh,
Not
okay,
if
got
not if you have the optimum lemmas in order, right? That was
got
actually
it.
something I realized. Like, oh, it's actually assuming that you know only the words that are in the book, and
Yeah.
that you have not made like learned anything else.
Okay, got it. So
So
that's just
that's why
taken
it
from
goes
like a
higher.
standard frequency list.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So it's like a 15K frequency up to like the 15,000 most common words. There's a bit of like iffiness on some of these calculations, but I think it's close enough to be useful.
Yeah.
It is within like the margin of error, basically. This page is very cool. Ethan asked for some specific things, and you can like look at each individual word and see what forms it takes in the book, where it appears in the book, examples of it, and all these sorts of things, what it means. And so this is something that's also just I think, helpful for words. If you come across a word, you can just get a bunch of information on it. I don't know how useful it is actually, but it's cool, I
Hmm.
think. And then this is the journey, right? The idea of, okay, what if we pull out 10 words from every chapter, these words, and we teach them to you? Um, and so this chapter one, chunk one, is you actually, with French and knowing Spanish, you basically already start knowing 98% of words if you read easier texts. So that's why these numbers are really high. But there are
This
still
also
words that aren't
assumes
known.
this also assumes the FR1K.
Oh, right. Yeah, this assumes that you finished our French deck, which also has another 1,000 words that you probably don't know, which is why it's
Yeah,
so
because
high.
the original reason for all of this was like French has so many cognates with English that if you just study the FR1K, you actually know around like 5 or 6,000 words if you learn the cognates directly from immersion. And then if you add Spanish on top of that, it's even higher. Um, and so
Yeah.
the premise is that you can get to basically a B2 level of comprehension, definitely with reading super easily. And then we also hypothesize that you can get to a B2 level of listening comprehension in just a couple of 100 hours.
hmm
So that's what I'm testing
Um,
right now to see if that actually works.
which is part of the reason we have audio for these as well. You
Yeah.
mentioned somebody, like one guy, one French guy, I assume, recorded all of these like Jules Verne books as public domain audiobooks as well,
That's
which is
awesome.
cool. So, not the highest quality audio, like I think he's just in his living room or something like that, but it's pretty good and it's listenable.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so these are like the assumed known words, which give us this journey selection. And the idea is to slowly teach more words throughout the text that allow you just to read the book and enjoy it. So I've got more breakdowns and whatnot. This has been very helpful for finding bugs. Like there's been a bunch of issues with it just trying to teach you the like 1/2, like another number, like half. It's like that's not a word. Why are you teaching that? Or it doesn't catch some, like there was a bunch of English words in here about like place names because it does take place in a lot of English speaking areas. And I've gotten rid of most of those. There are still a couple of issues, but again, it's like within the margin of errors to still be very useful, which I think is
Yeah.
like the point. And then it turns into this reader where you can actually go into the thing and hear the audiobook for the chapter, and it highlights the words that it's teaching you, and you can like look them up. I'm even testing out this idea of like taking the sentences that are still really hard, like two or three unknown words, and running it through an LLM to simplify it a little bit. Right. So this sentence used to be this, and now it's this. I don't know what changed, but usually it takes like this pouloulon and then change it to existant, which usually it's just an older term. They just change it to a newer term that you're more likely to know. So I'm playing around with that idea. Lots of stuff going on here, but it's been really fun and interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool.
hmm
Also, I love the color theme. I don't know if you chose this or if Claude chose it, but
Uh,
uh,
I like to I want it to be sort of like the right vibe, right? So the German one was is like because it's for Harry Potter 1,
mhm.
which is not public domain, but it's like kind of a Harry Potter vibe, and so I'm
Yeah,
trying to
it
like
definitely
keep
felt like
them
it.
sort of like that here. Let me open. Where's that one?
That would be like a
German.
nice feature for a reader of like choose a color scheme that is like similar to the color scheme of the book.
Yeah, it just gives you the vibe of the book, right?
Yeah.
So this is the same idea for German, um, and this one was a little bit harder because like the audiobook, because these like each chunk isn't necessarily a chapter because these chapters are much longer. But I think it's been doing pretty good, and I'm very excited to see if it actually helps learners, if it's actually a useful thing to use.
Yeah, so we
Um,
got some personal friends using that are going to be using this, and then I'm going to be using it for French. So I'm excited to play with it. And there's definitely some user experience changes that I want to make to it
mhm.
that are like very specific to the way that I really like to process information. Um, but I'm super curious to see like how well it works because compared to what I did with Spanish, where I had like a physical book and I was like looking things up, obviously this is going to be a lot nicer.
Yeah, this is the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea uh, vibe.
That's great. I
Um,
love it.
yeah, right now all of the like this. I need to rerun the word selection because it still has like the bon and om in here.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it should be fun. And I'm already working on your requested things because I don't
Okay,
think they're
cool.
going to be that hard.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's my show and tell for the
sweet.
day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so we've got
so
like the stuff that we're working on publicly because people have requested it, and then we've got the stuff that like we're working on just because we want it.
oh yeah,
And
we're supposed to talk about what we did in these past 3 weeks.
yeah, well, both Ben and I had a week of, well, Ben was fully on vacation. I had a week where I was helping a friend take care of a newborn baby. So I was not super productive during that time, but we did manage to finish up a often requested feature finally, and that is a customizable end of day. Um, because
That's
as it
because
turns
that's
out, a lot of people don't end their day at midnight. Who would have guessed?
because the
So
issue
that's
is
been
that
an
if
issue for a long time.
you're immersing in the afternoon, evening, and then you do another action at like midnight or 1 o'clock, it would go to the next calendar day, despite it feeling like the same day.
Yeah. So that is now we defaulted it so that it's 4 a.m. is the turnover, and did that historically. So if you have previously been doing actions after midnight and been annoyed that it carried over the next day, that's now fixed historically. And there's a an option in the settings in both the web and the mobile app that you can change that to whatever you want it to be. And you can also backdate it. So you can adjust all of your historical actions to that as well.
Big props to
So
you for getting into the code of that because it touched basically the entire app.
yeah, as it turns out, dates are hard. Dates and times are hard in software engineering. If you're not a software engineer, you should know that dates and times are really hard because of time
Are they
zones.
are they harder than naming functions?
They are more surprising than naming functions, I would
Mm.
say. Like, naming functions is hard just as like naming something that's obvious. And there's just a lot of names you have to choose. Whereas like dates are one thing where like you are constantly surprised by how they work, and what happens.
Probably
And
also
even
because you
though,
think you get it. You're like, I'm a human. I've lived with dates my whole life. They make
yeah,
sense, right?
they do not. Um, and so like I had already done a deep dive to understand exactly what was happening with the dates, and we still kept screwing it up over and over again. So I'm very glad that that system is now almost dead. It's mostly converted. There's a couple more odds and ends that I've been working on yesterday and today. That once those are done, like a bunch of this stuff will just be so much easier to work with.
That's great.
But it
Yeah,
affects everything. It affects like your habit health. It affects like your progress in a habit. It affects all of the reports data. It reflects like affects the timeline, both your personal and like the community timeline. It affects the like leaderboards. It's just everything.
pretty much every time we made a new feature that had anything to do with time, it would be broken for some reason.
Yeah,
And so I'm hoping that is not the case anymore and it will not be broken by
we'll find
default.
out.
Hopefully. We got a question from Ethan but evil.
Okay.
Um, the Apple
They're
app
gonna
is
be
still,
anything but good,
I assume, just I mean that's
or
how
just
it must be,
neutral.
right? Yeah, Ethan but
It's
neutral.
chaotic neutral.
Is the Apple app still on test flight, and for how much
Yes,
longer is that planned?
that's a good question. We have not even thought about actually releasing it. We should probably talk about that at some point.
Put that on the
Um,
list of 20,000 things to talk about.
yeah, I'll add it to notes right now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's been working well, I think.
yeah, seems to be.
Um, yeah, this for people that are not aware, we've been using this Nolt tool to track our people's requests and feature updates and all these things. This is how we also know what people want. So when we saw that the customizable end of day was constantly getting upvoted, it's like, okay, a lot of people do want this. We'll just,
Yeah, I think it got like 14 votes or something.
yeah, I'm actually just moving into the completed column because we did it. But yeah, it has 14 votes right now.
Yeah. We pay
Um,
attention to your votes. This time around, we got a suggestion from the community to create a Refold forum that is separate from Discord because people don't really like using Discord, and there's a lot of reasons that forums are better. And it immediately got 15 votes, and it was like, oh, well, okay, we're going to work on that.
that's the plan for these next couple weeks then, to get a
Yeah,
first sort of version of the forum up and hopefully get people chatting on there, having a good time, sharing their language learning ideas,
yeah,
tools, recommendations. I think we'll probably try to make it nice and easy to find information and stuff. So,
yeah. I think like forum is a better place for this just because gets picked up by SEO. It's easily searchable from Google. Discord is like it's so ephemeral. Like
mhm.
nobody really searches for previously answered questions in
Even pins
Discord.
don't get checked.
Even pins, yeah. Nothing gets checked. It's always like new questions. And honestly, most of the questions are just repeats. So,
Mhm. Somebody, yeah, and like somebody also commented that most of our Discord servers aren't don't like they have like an off-topic channel, like a chat room where people like do hang out and chat sometimes, but they're not meant to be Discord servers in the sort of the sense of where they go and hang
totally.
out with friends and stuff. It's like you
No, it's a
ask
place to go to learn.
questions. Yeah. We really need a forum with like a general hangout area or something like that.
Yeah.
That's really
The
all we
forum
need.
is definitely the right format for what our community actually wants. So
The
I'm
forum
all for
mat.
it.
You're all for
One thing
it.
that I would like to do is sort of try and find information from that's stored in Discord currently and like export it. Um, and I don't know if we want to like import like historical posts to the forum just to like preload it with some stuff, but I think that the bigger one that I would like to use it for is setting up the RAG for the LLM,
Mm.
just because like we can very quickly like just take all the knowledge that's been collected over the past 5 years and give it to an AI, and now like you can just interrogate the AI for like anything you need from our system.
Where do I find this
Yes.
information? Help me. Yeah.
Yes.
I've also been working on the resource docs more
Hmm.
recently. Not a ton, but like I'm now sort of managing a bunch of them because I much prefer the format of a spreadsheet rather than a Google Doc.
Hmm.
And as I've come across languages that either don't have the new format or I have a client that's learning a language, like I just totally revamped the Hindi Urdu one just because like there's literally one thing between those two on the Google Docs,
Yeah.
but there is a bunch of stuff out there. And so
Yeah.
I redid that and I've done ones for like the French one as well and all sorts of things because I think it's just much nicer and hopefully a forum makes it more accessible. So,
Yeah. I also think like in the not too distant future, I've talked about this for a long time, but like I want to merge all of that into the actual website so that it's
yeah.
easy to navigate that stuff and not just a spreadsheet.
And it's much easier to put a spreadsheet into the app
It's
than it is to
absolutely.
do it Google Doc.
Yeah.
So, other things that we did this week I got this sprint or chunk at the very beginning. I did some things before I left, which I can also share. Why not? Window. I launched as I wanted a better blogging platform for our blog because I despise our WordPress blog. So we do have one that's uh, refold.la/blog, but
It sucks.
it's really hard to like add new stuff and to update things. I don't like how it looks. I don't like the editor, and so I just did it. Like it's gonna be easier. It's more fun. And then
Yay, AI coding.
yay! And I wanted to write this blog post anyways, since it was something that was just on my mind, and so I'm much happier with this. And we can start to post stuff. We want to post updates. We can put stuff here. We have this now, which is cool.
Yeah. Should
I
migrate all of
also
our blogs over.
made the reports tab,
Yay.
which
Thanks,
was
Ben.
surprisingly easy.
Yeah,
Um,
I assume it just copied all the same logic from the mobile app.
Basically, and then I had to tell it what was broken and what would be nice to have and all these things. You can see where I went on vacation here.
Yeah.
Um, drop down to an hour a day. But this is the reports tab. You can get it at in reports or prod.refold.li/reports. It's got tons of filters, so you can see your all-time data. You can filter by activities. This is something I don't think is on um, the mobile app. And so if
No,
you
you
want
have to
to,
do it through habits if you want to do it on the mobile app.
yeah, so you can just set it to like if I want to see my vocab studies time, I can just do it that way. So I can see that I've done 518 hours of vocab study. And I can also
Over how long?
exclude it. All this is my all time, so it goes to the very beginning of my tracking.
Okay.
But you can also exclude it, so like do everything but vocab study. So I see that my actual that time is all this, right? So then it updates the graphs and looks pretty and stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I hope it's helpful. And I'm sure that there's going to be improvements that we can make to it. But now that people can actually use it and request things, they can go to the Nolt board and share their thoughts. Ta-da!
Yes.
Nolt. Ooh,
Share your thoughts and vote on things.
here's the release app for real. Thank you, Ethan.
You are welcome.
All right. And then the second show and tell done. What else did we do?
We fixed a bug with we had to update our like Android version, and they changed the way that the phone navigation works with like the layout, and so it was overlaying on top of all our CTAs. So a bunch of people on Android just like couldn't use the app for a day.
That's annoying.
Yeah, so fix that.
Thanks, Android.
And what else?
Oh, I added
notes on actions.
no, in the mobile app. Yeah, notes on actions itself and the stacking. Oh,
Yes.
the
That's another
you can
often requested feature.
just to stack things that are the same.
Yep,
It took us a while, but we did it.
it did.
And it's so helpful. It's so nice.
Yeah, it was a little complicated from like a product standpoint of like how does this actually work? Because like what do you do if there's another action in between them? And I was just like, screw it. If they're on the same day, stack them.
There was
They don't
at
need
one
order.
point I caught the bug where it stacks it if it's across languages.
Oh yeah,
Um,
fix that
and
real
that
quick.
yeah, you said that you showed it to me when you were like, "Oh, it's done," and I showed you that, and you're like, "No, I gotta do more stuff." But we got it. You squashed
Yeah,
it.
we got it. Squash that.
And the last thing is just a slight tweak to the nav bar on the web app to make it a little bit easier to add more stuff.
Yeah.
Which is going to be good because we're probably going to be throwing a bunch of random stuff in the web app as we build fun things and get
We're gonna have to
people try
redo the
stuff.
homepage and be like, this is the new homepage of all the stuff that this is.
Yeah, we did that on the main site, so the Refold.li site, the WordPress site that we don't like, with the idea of just be like, let's just put all the stuff that we do on the same page rather than trying to like create some marketing nonsense.
Yeah.
And it seems to be just as functional as before, so I can't complain. And there's like links to our stuff now, which is cool.
Yeah,
Free
but I'm
guides,
saying
free
we should
resources.
create a homepage on the app, the web app.
Yeah, right. But like the similar vibe, right?
Yeah.
Just like, this is what we got. Oh, and then, yeah, so what we're doing next, the next 2 weeks so we're planning these sprints to be around 2 weeks long. So our goal is to be wrapping things up the Friday the 13th. Unlucky. And doing another live stream and talking about the forums, as you mentioned. And then the thing that's mostly going to be you. I'm going to work on the Refold like starter packs, we're calling them.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm
need-
excited for the starter packs. I want to help with those. I know you got the bulk covered, but like,
Yeah, we'll both be helping on everything. But the goal of these like starter packs is to have something to send to a new learner or somebody that has heard about Refold or that doesn't really know what it is, and they can just start learning the language for free. They just get in there and get information that is straightforward and action oriented. So you don't have to pre-learn a bunch of stuff, so that you don't have to start with the maybe necessary but boring stuff. You can just get in with and make progress within 10 days and get an idea of what Refold is all about.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start with Spanish and try to make the Spanish course work for 10 days. But the idea is to get you into the loop of learning new words and immersing, engaging with media, being okay with ambiguity, and learning a little bit extra on top of that. And I think that is going to be great for getting somebody started. And so I will be trying to get the Spanish one set up so we can get some people to try it, get feedback, see what happens, and see if it's actually helpful, if people stick with it, if they want to, like, if they're like, oh, okay, great, I finished, what's next? That'd be awesome, right? So, but like like a really good 10 days would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been so many people that are like, oh, you have a language learning company? Like, can I download your app? And I'm like, you could, but you wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want our app. You want
No.
something else to start. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want our app. So we're going to change that so that you do want our app. And we'll take that starter pack and we'll just like embed it into the app. So you can just download it and go.
Yeah. So that's what I got to say.
Yeah. Anything else we got going on?
Oh, I got my test results back.
Oh yeah. Talk about that.
I'm C2 in Spanish.
Woo!
Woohoo! I did it.
Ben destroyed the C2.
Ooh, I wouldn't say that. There was
Ben
definitely room for
the
improvement.
C2.
Yeah, there we go. Ben passed the C2. I didn't stick to the script as much in like the speaking exam. Because like I was talking to because the results came out at the same time for pretty much everybody, and I'm in a server of C2 people, and several people like basically got perfect scores on the oral exam,
Oh,
and they essentially just memorize, like they learn how to write that, and then they use the writing time, the prep time to just write out that, and they memorize it.
okay.
Because and then if as long as your like conversation skills are fine, like good enough, there's only like a minute and a half of actual like back and forth. The rest of it is essentially prepared stuff.
Okay.
And so if you sort of just memorize the thing, which I like, I had the structure, like I went through the structure, but I didn't memorize my introduction, my conclusion, my points. I didn't like mentally check off like going like because they literally give you things that you have to say, sort of like keywords that they're looking for.
Okay.
So it's sort of like that's the easiest one to game, I guess, because you can just know the thing. So I think that would be helpful in the future. If I wanted to try again, I would spend a little more time on. I don't need to try again, thankfully. But if I was to do, if I were to, I would spend a little bit more time kind of learning that just to ensure that I had enough. Like I still passed. Like you don't actually need to do that, but it's nice to not have any basically need the margin for error.
Yeah.
My writing is just at C2. Like I think the way that they score it, because a bunch of people get exactly like the minimum required score. And I think that's essentially because when you average it out, like they have this whole complicated math problem for how you get your grade.
Mhm.
But I think what happens is that it's like everything was at C2 level and anything that was slightly below, something else made up for it. Pretty much exactly. So writing is not like out of this world amazing, but it is C2 level, which is good. And then I did very good on the reading, listening and speaking. No, listening and reading. Yeah, listening and reading part. So
Not a surprise.
no, there was some hard parts. They put some really difficult speakers in there specifically that
Yeah.
it was like three people, like it was three people from the Canaries speaking on a radio show, and then it was through the kind of crappy school speaker that they were using. And I was like, oh my God, this is really hard.
Yeah. I remember when I was doing the practice stuff for it, um, there was some audio that was like a panel that was recorded in an auditorium. So it was like super echoey. And I really struggled to understand what they were saying.
Yep. It's echoey things are hard. Um, Aside, we have a live report of a bug. The
Ooh,
settings page is broken.
the settings page. Great.
Just doesn't load.
It just doesn't load. It just doesn't load. Good point. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
What is broken on the settings page? We've got
Wait, nobody. You don't need to change your settings.
no.
No, just don't. Just already have them changed. Just don't need them.
Why? That's weird. That is not an obvious reason. I don't understand. Uh, I'll have to dive into that because it's just saying it can't connect to the database, but like it can connect to the database on every other page.
That's weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
Uh, Evil Ethan says my browser reported the page as a bounce tracker.
A bounce tracker?
I don't even know what that is. Who's tracking bounces? But if it is for everybody. That seems unlikely to be the actual cause.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, it. Are they saying that like there's tracking on it? Because there's definitely tracking on it. We're using posthog. Um, all right, I'll have to dig into this.
The specific message is omitted in production builds to avoid leaking sensitive details, is what I see.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, I'm looking at the actual logs.
yeah, okay, the real ones. Big
Yeah,
boy logs.
it's saying like it can't find the database.
Where'd it go?
But
What?
I don't know.
That's weird. Maybe it'll fix itself, hopefully.
No, because like every other page
No,
seems to work fine. Like,
too
I
bad.
just I don't know.
Oh
I
well.
just
All right. Well,
save that. Yeah, it works fine.
anyways, this is not very engaging live stream content.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have a question before we went on this. Talk about C2. Um, I don't know. Ethan,
Yep.
stop
Sorry.
looking at it.
Yep.
um, what are you looking forward to with language learning or with these projects?
Oh, I'm super excited for the Jules Verne reading. I've had like really strong opinions about the way I want to immerse, and I have not seen any tooling that does it the way that I want it to work. Um, and so I'm very excited to just build that so I can use it and to have. I'm very excited that there's a book that I actually would want to read with matching audio that is open source or public domain, which means we can do whatever we want with it. Like that's a really nice thing to have for a language learner. So um, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited like to see what truly like efficient learning looks like because my Spanish process was not efficient at all. Like a lot of stumbling around in the dark. So I'm excited to see like what I can reasonably accomplish in 250 hours of French.
Yeah, I am too. It's been fun to work on the Jules Verne stuff. And also, I've been hearing about your opinions on immersing my meta layers and stuff for years now.
Yeah.
Um, and now I can actually kind of build something. So that is exciting because that also just like, because I don't think I have some questions about it, about its effectiveness. Um, but I also wanted to see it get used and see you try it, see what it's like. So I think
Oh
there
yeah, it
is,
might be terrible. I could be completely wrong, but
yeah. But there are definitely some ideas in there that I think are very good. Like there's the sentence level stuff because I've been fighting with word level processing for a couple days now,
yeah.
and it is really hard. So that'll be interesting.
Hmm.
Um, but then also, I don't know, just seeing you have fun and make like progress on a language is cool.
It's been a while.
Because yeah, it's been a while, and I enjoy doing that. So I don't know why you wouldn't.
What are you excited about?
Um, what am I excited about? My reading in Czech. I've been doing a lot more reading in Czech recently. In the past sort of month and a half or so, I've started to free flow read a lot more. That's been really fun and rewarding because like it does just take a half a book or a whole book to like get up to speed and to figure out the flow and train your brain to focus on it again. And I'm at that point and I'm now reading and enjoying books in Czech, which is really cool. I've been reading. Have you heard of the series? What is it called? Scythe, I think in English. Um,
I
it's
think so.
it's a young adult sort of dystopian fiction or utopian, sort of unclear which one it is, because it is a world that has conquered death, and so like you can anybody just it can be revived. You can choose what age you are and all these things. Like you can just reset your internal clock and everything. And so this like special group of reapers, I think they're called in English, are the ones that kill people. They're the ones that like control the population to make sure that it doesn't just explode. And so it's about that. And then there's a benevolent, all powerful AI that controls the world and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's unclear whether or not it's a utopia or dystopia, which is sort of interesting. But I finished the second book in the series in Czech because I've only read it in Czech. I haven't even read it in English, which is also how I realized that the name for the AI in English is stupid. Because in Czech it's Nimbus, which is kind of cool. You're like, okay, kind of a cloud thing. It makes sense. And in English it's Thunderhead.
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 This
Like
is
you're a
like when
pro
I
wrestler.
like reading Brandon Sanderson books in Spanish. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, all these names are so cool. And then I Google them in English. I'm like, translated, they don't sound as cool.
Or
Or
not
rather, I guess
translated.
in the original,
Untranslated.
not
Yeah.
translated, the original language, they don't sound as cool.
Hmm. Yeah. Some translations are terrible, but some are really good. Some can breathe new life into a mediocre text. I mean,
Yeah,
like, you didn't even know Jules Verne didn't write in English,
that is true.
right? Yeah,
Granted, I haven't
that's
really
good
thought
enough.
about Jules Verne since I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea 30, yeah,
That's
25
fair.
years ago. So, like,
Okay. Not a huge deal in your
as a
life.
10-year-old, like, you don't really think about these things.
Nope. Um, yeah, I don't think I thought about it either, because especially because Around the World in 80 Days is set in starts in England. So I was like, you write about where you're from, obviously.
Of
So,
course, 20,000 Leagues
um,
takes place under the sea, which is where he's from.
yeah, obviously. He's a multi-talented writer.
Amphibious
Um,
writer.
Hulk asked, "Has my opinion changed about what it means to be C2 based on the criteria versus actually going and passing the test?" I don't think so. I think that I generally still feel about the same, where it's like C2 is at a point where you can't really just learn about the test and pass. Certain levels, I think you can kind of cheat your not cheat your way through, but like you can learn the test well enough and understand the criteria. It'd be a good enough test taker to not really have B1, for example, and still pass a B1. You need a certain level of ability for sure, but I don't think you actually need to be B1 to pass B1. Um, B2 you have to get closer to, but again, I think you can kind of, especially in something like French, I think I would do without any French study a lot better than expected, just with good test taking skills and other things. Or obviously like speaking and whatever, like you have to do practice some. You can't just literally go in blind, but there are certain things that you can fudge. But once you get up to C2, they're not as much, except for like, yes, my opinion has changed on the speaking test because people that have studied the test really, really like closely can get much higher grades on the speaking portion than they otherwise might like deserve if you're actually like judging them on based on naturalness or fluidity. But I think the writing test is actually pretty hard. Like if you get a higher than a 20 on that, like I think you actually know what you're doing when you're writing in Spanish, especially by hand. And the reading and listening was not a joke at all. So like if you can do that, you have a a sufficient level of ability. I still think that it is a poor examination. Like it's not saying C2 is different than saying native like or um, super high level or whatever it might be, just because there are certain requirements that like C2 has like drawn a line in the sand where that might be higher than some natives, right? Like I definitely have better orthography than a lot of native speakers because I've done a lot of reading and because I've like thought about the test. But there's other things that I don't have that are not tracked on the test or not tried on the test. Um, I've thought about that was something I'd love to get into and try to do is like how would I make a language test like to test language level? What are the things that I would do? And some of the stuff from that test, I think I would also like keep. I think there are some really good portions of the test, especially specific tasks in the reading, listening are really good. Um, but there's also some stuff that I think that is not tested that would be very informative. Something that we talked about before is like the amount of the language that you can hold in your short-term memory, where it's like writing a summary of something. I think it would be really like you hear it once or twice, and then you write a summary of it. Um, and seeing like how many details you can keep in your head, or also just straight up like transcription. Can you write down exactly what was said um, a couple of seconds after it was said? Because that is something that is not super easy if you're not really good at the language. It's pretty easy if you're in your native language for simpler sentences because you can compress and decompress the grammar. But if you're just trying to keep every word in short-term memory, it's not going to work. And so that's something that I think would be a very valuable piece of a test like that because it can say a lot, not everything, but a lot about the speaker or the I guess the user rather.
Yeah.
So those are my little thoughts, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I went for it, and I'm glad I passed.
I'm glad you did it too. Congratulations. Well done.
Yay.
I'm proud of you.
We have an interesting question here, which sadly has an easy answer. Have you all been too busy developing the app, or have you had time to look at users' habits at all, or notice interesting trends, etc.?
Beyond our clients, no, we haven't really looked at trends.
Yeah.
But I think on our to-do list are to do what we're calling
Spying?
like success metrics of like what are like how much are people using the app and like what are they using it for.
Hmm.
So I think that's sort of like the first foray into sort of looking at learner behavior.
Hmm.
Um, it's for a different purpose, but it sort of like leads into the next phase of like actually breaking down and figuring out what people are doing.
Yeah. I have looked like we do look at people's information if they're our coaching clients, and we'll dive into. I usually look at like their what they've been using and their sort of quick reports. I also like to see their trends. And just one thing that I've seen a lot of is just that people tend to go through sort of cycles, right? Either if it's more like emotional, like they have just different vibes week to week, but then also some people, like one of my clients was taking their studying for their driver's test in Spain. So she's like, I just am not going to be doing as much studying because I want to study this and pass this. Somebody else yeah, people do things like that where it comes up, they know it's a short term thing, so they sort of lower the time a bit, then they get back on hopefully.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty cool. Not, I mean, it's just been a good experience. I feel for the coaching. I like working with people in that sense, and I feel like it's been helpful. But then I also get a bit of an insight into more people's learning, and I can feel like I give better advice as I have more experience with more people. Because I am not a typical language learner, so I can't strictly give my own advice, like what I would take as advice to people, because it's not going to work for everybody. That's just the reality of humans being individuals. But getting more and more of this data and looking through people's stuff and talking to them and hearing their experience has been really helpful and interesting in that sense. But no concrete trends that have really come out yet. We haven't analyzed the data that deeply.
Yeah. It's been really, really helpful having the data for coaching clients. Like, we didn't have that when we originally started coaching, and then we were using Toggle for it, which was like good enough, I guess. But now we can be like, I need to see this information in a very specific way, and we can just like build it that day and look at it, which has been really useful. As long as the clients are actually using the platform, which most of them
Yeah.
are. So.
I have a couple that still keep, like, they haven't dropped off or anything like that, but they just don't use it. And I go, great, just update me. And it's a lot more vibes based.
Yeah.
It's a lot less concrete, which is their choice, but it does reinforce the feeling of like you really should be tracking your time,
Yeah.
because it's so helpful to as a
Because we
also
can
for
give you
them.
better advice.
Uh-huh. And you don't have to guess,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Did we have anything else we wanted to talk about today? Did we have anything else that we wanted to talk about today? I need to enunciate.
There's some other stuff that we're planning to build, but I don't want to commit to it in case we don't actually get to it at this sprint.
That's fair. But I feel like we had a plan coming into this, and I
Yeah, but
swear
we
there was
inverted the plan. Like,
we did.
yeah,
We
we talked about things out of order, but I think we talked about everything.
all right. Um, reading any good books right now? Any good movies?
No, my goal for this year is to stop consuming media generally for entertainment purposes. So today is day 64 of no TV, books, podcasts, movies, music, nothing.
You're not doing
Uh,
books?
I'm not doing books. I'm not doing
Huh.
music. I'm not doing audiobooks. I'm not doing nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. No social media, no YouTube, no anything.
Yeah. I'm very thankful that I don't have problems with like social media because I've just never been into social media. I've never had an Instagram or like I remembered like in high school, everybody had Snapchat. They're like, get on Snapchat. And I tried, I could not. I hated it. Um, and that's carried through. And my only real big like problem media was YouTube, which I essentially solved last year, which I feel really good about. And I feel so much more focused and like I'm able to engage with things. I still use it for learning, but that is so much easier to control because it's like
Yeah.
a specific thing. It's not just like, let's see what's next on the algorithm. So that's been really nice. Um, but occasionally I will watch a YouTube video if like it's too late for a TV episode. Um, and but it's only one. I limit it to one video. But I watched one about, and I often come across videos that are people like quitting my phone, quitting social media, and all these things. And it's like, it seems to be a really hard thing for a lot of people, especially at the beginning. But then it just opens up their time and their life. They said that the days are longer, but more enjoyable. And like, there's better vibes. They're not as worried. They're not as stressed. They're more creative. And yeah, so
I've definitely found that I'm much more engaged with people when I hang out with them. Like a lot of times, like you would hang out with people and like people would be on their phones, or
oh
we would
yeah.
be like just sharing videos back and forth, or we would like watch a TV show together. And now that I'm not doing any of that, I actually have to like spend time with my friends, which is fun.
Yeah. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when people pull out their phone in a conversation.
Mhm.
Or I've seen an increase in Uber drivers here who have two phones, one for the map and one for TikTok at the light. Or you actually hear it's more like Instagram Reels, but
Yeah,
lots of TikTok too. And it's just
it's
like,
kind of insane, right? Like
yeah. I'm
you're
like,
driving a car, it's
yeah.
dangerous.
There's been a couple where I'm like, and there's plenty of very fast, reckless drivers in Mexico. I would
Mhm.
rather have one of them than the guy on his phone. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, I
Cole
found like
asks
it's definitely been great.
if you're training to be a monk.
I'm not training to be a monk. In fact, like that's the exact opposite of what I want to do. But I definitely realized that basically this past year I was just consuming a lot of media in all of my free time was just media consumption. And I found that it wasn't making me happy, and I wasn't enjoying things. Um, I was just consuming it out of just to be distracted. And so I joined a program. It's like 3 months of no media consumption, and then you choose like what are the things that you actually want to be consuming. Um, and I think for me, like no media for solo entertainment is like kind of my bottom line of the things that I don't want to consume. Like I think media consumption, like going to a movie with a friend, I think is fine, but like watching a movie by myself, like I don't really want to do that anymore.
Hmm.
Um, Books I will reintegrate at some point, because I enjoy reading and I think it's generally a healthier habit. And
I've been reading a
um,
lot more since
yeah,
cutting out YouTube.
yeah. And as part of this process, obviously, like I'm going to be consuming media to study French. So, and that will be for somewhat entertainment purposes, but like primarily for language learning. So I'm giving myself a pass on that one. Um, but no, it's not really about trying to be a monk. It's just more about like media is ever pervasive in our society, and it kind of steals your life away 1 minute at a time and without even you realizing it. And there's just a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing that I wanted to be doing.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and Ben has been telling me for like a year that I should be consuming less media. So
Have I been outright saying it like that?
you have not
Oh,
like
okay.
that, but you have been outright saying it.
All right.
Especially
Um,
like my passive consumption of media of like Spanish and whatnot. You're like, it's not worth it. Just
oh
do the
yeah, yeah,
active stuff.
that.
Don't do passive.
Hmm. Yeah. I do still enjoy audiobooks as a like passive thing, but I'm I don't know, I've also grown up listening to audiobooks, so I feel like I just do it when I'm doing dishes or making dinner or whatever, and I can focus on the book and it's not just like noise and I'm actually gaining knowledge from it, um, and enjoying the process. So I think of it as just expanding my reading. But media can be dangerous. It can.
Yeah. I think for me the issue with the audiobooks and like the passive consumption is that it like doesn't give my brain a chance to actually quiet itself down
Mm,
and like calm down. It's like constantly at this high level of engagement, even if it's like somewhat passive and I'm not really paying like full attention to it and it's easy to consume. It doesn't mean that it's actually like refreshing me or regenerating me or giving me like more energy. It's still draining me through that
hmm.
process. Whereas if I walk around without that, or I like take public transit without media, like that time actually becomes somewhat refreshing. Like my brain is ready to do something after a period of time of not doing anything.
Yeah, resting is important.
Yeah. And I think I did not do enough resting, and my resting was really, I was using media consumption as like my resting time, and it wasn't actually restful.
It's just more draining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think that's a good way of phrasing it and thinking about it. Well, good to hear that's going well.
Mhm.
Um, is there something that you're excited to do, like get back to with media once you're done?
Uh, music was the one that was like, I really miss music.
Hmm.
Um, I've definitely become much less dependent on it. Like I used to listen to 8 to 10 hours of Spotify a day, like
Yeah.
through my
As a,
entire workday.
I am not a music listener. It's weird. I
Yeah,
open Spotify once a month, maybe, and usually on accident.
yeah.
And so like when I hear people that do that, I go, I don't understand.
So it's been nice being able to like, oh, I can actually function without music. I can code without music. I can do whatever I need to. Um, but there's still like, I would like to listen to music occasionally. There are songs I miss listening to.
Mhm.
I would like to listen to an album occasionally. But I think doing
Yeah.
it a little bit more intentionally instead of as background noise would be a better way to consume that.
Get a vinyl player and those big ass
My
headphones.
roommate has a vinyl player, so
Uh,
he puts on records sometimes. He's like, "You're not listening." Like
this doesn't count.
this is your cheat time.
Yeah. Um, oh, wait, what? Oh, it sounds sort of like how I would feel about coffee because when I don't, if I, I'm when I suddenly can't have coffee for a week or a couple days or whatever, I don't like physically notice. I don't have a physical dependence that I'm like, oh God, I need a cup of coffee. But I really like having a cup of coffee. I like the flavor. I like making it. I love the aroma.
I'm
Um,
so the opposite. I do not like coffee.
yeah, I don't know. It's so good. Maybe, I mean,
Always hated coffee.
it is a weird flavor. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Lots of things are weird flavors.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
I,
We're at time.
okay. Yeah. We are at time. It's time for dinner. Actually, it's time for some Mandarin learning
Yeah.
for
I'm gonna go
me.
figure out why our settings page is broken.
Yeah. Thanks, Evil Ethan, for finding that issue. Coffee
Appreciate you.
supremacy. All right. Well, bye, neutral Ethan. Bye, everybody else. Have a good weekend. Yeah, it's Friday. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you here in about 2 weeks to hopefully talk about the amazing starter kit we have and the forums.
Woo!
Woo! Share bugs